Hi and welcome to StockInvest.us podcast for week 42. This time I'm in Side in Turkey on a short vacation, so this podcast will be a short one. Last week I told you I thought it would be a red week and Nasdaq fell more than 3%, but Dow Jones was up 1%. And the trading tips, well, some of them did very well. Chevron closed with more than 14% profit. What about ConocoPhillips? We will get back to this. And for sure, what's in store for this week? Will it be a red or will it be a green week? These are some of the few things that I will try to answer during the next some 15 minutes. First, as always, you have to listen to a short disclaimer, and then I will be back with the market insights for the week ahead of us.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the StockInvest.us weekly stock and crypto podcast. The podcast is hosted by StockInvest.us co-founder and Golden Star Signal inventor, Jim Stromberg, who has been actively trading since 1996. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure to hit like and notification bell so you will be first to know when we post a new video. This podcast is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and other audio sources. Ensure you listen to the entire podcast so you don't miss out on some key tips needed for this week's strategy.
Welcome to StockInvest.us podcast. We remind you that trading involves a high risk of losing money, and that you should speak with a financial advisor before buying or selling any securities. You should not base your investment decision upon StockInvest.us. By using the information provided, you agree and are held liable for your own investment decisions.
So we are in for a short podcast. I'm in Turkey enjoying some good weather. Well, actually, right now is not such a good weather, but it's been very good weather and it's supposed to be very good weather for the next few days. The stock market didn't have very good weather last week. Well, you can argue that Dow Jones had some good weather as it was up 1.15%. Nasdaq, however, fell 3.11%, and there seemed to be no end to the pain for the tech stocks. Anyway, we are in a new week. What are the things that we can do? First, we'll look at some fundamental things. Have a quick look at the chart, then we'll go to the trading tips, and there you will hear that Chevron is closed with more than 14% profit. Do I have some new trading tips for you? Yes, I do have a few trading tips, and we will have a look at them in just a few minutes. But let's very quickly walk through the week ahead of us. And the good thing is there is no real big fundamental news coming out this week. So there is nothing that should push the market other than news from Ukraine. You should always keep an eye on this. And I expect more, sadly, bad news come from Ukraine during the week. At some point, Taiwan will come up on the chart again. I personally believe that the Taiwan conflict will start in 2023, next year. But it could be that we already over the next few weeks will start to see more news and tension regarding Taiwan. How will this affect the market? Well, it will of course put a toll on the market, but you should also know that the market will turn long before the rest of the world turns. The big question is, where is that final bottom? Are we at the bottom right now, 10,400 on Nasdaq? Or will Nasdaq fall to 8,000, which I predicted so long ago? I cannot say exactly for sure, but we will for sure have a look at the week ahead of us. And I will give you my perspective of the week, what I think happened during this week. But let's finish this argument about fundamentals. So there is no big fundamental news coming out this week other than the main news. Oil is still somewhat steady. $87, fell $5 last week. But you can expect oil to continue up as we head into the winter, and OPEC already reduced their production. So if I was you, and I'm somewhat you as well, I would still bet on oil stock, and I am. Are you the same? Gold, as I told you, I like gold as well. But gold fell $40 last week to $1,661. And as long as the interest rates go up, you cannot expect gold to move anytime soon. But once we start to see a weakening in dollar, you should also start to see an increase in the gold price. And I think that dollar soon will start to weaken after being super strong, actually helping the inflation in the United States some, but not for Europe. And the 10-year Treasury yield, which I tell you to always keep an eye on, well, it went up last week, up 3.24% to just above 4. And I think, as I said many times before, I think that the interest rates has to go much higher before they finally will peak out. So from a fundamental perspective, there is nothing really major things that can drive the market. So what about the technical picture? And for a technical picture, I like to do two things. I like to show you the amount of signals that our systems generate, because if there is a certain amount of buy and sell signals, we can assume something from the market. If the buy signals are very low, you usually get into a situation where market is oversold and there is a buying opportunity. And looking at the market right now, I can say that it's just the same amount of buy signals like it was last week. It was 16 across all markets, and it's still 16. Going to Nasdaq, we can see that the amount of buy signals at Nasdaq increased a little bit to 12, which still is extremely low. We want them to increase, that's a good sign. But being this low mean that we still can have, as I told you many times before, if markets are oversold, you can have even faster falls. And New York Stock Exchange is 10, actually down a little bit from from the week before. The same thing goes for London, which was 11 last week, and this week is only 9. Tokyo, however, is on an upturn at 26% buy signal, while China still remains very low. So the buy and sell signal still says the same thing. The markets are oversold. You can expect a reaction up, but before that happens, you can have a brutal fall. So what about the chart? Well, that's the one thing that we will look at, and I think the chart is telling the tale for the week ahead of us. If you're listening to this podcast on Spotify or wherever you are, it will also be available on YouTube, where you can see the charts. You can even have a quick look at me and the surroundings here in Turkey. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the chart. And if you look at the chart, we can see that Nasdaq still is in with a falling trend, and you can expect that to continue until we start to see some increased bottoms. And for those who like major signal, there was a major sell signal, a so-called death cross from the relation between the short and the long-term moving averages back in August, and it has been a big downturn since then. Back then, it was Nasdaq was around 12,000 points, and now it's around 10,400 points. The thing I want you to notice in the chart is that there is really no support under today's level. There is a psychological support around 10,000, and you can expect the exchange to flirt a little bit around that. At the same time, the index is in the middle of the trend, so there is no support from the bottom of the trend line, and there is neither any resistance from the top of the trend line. And usually when there is no support below, the risk is very high. Relative strength index is not oversold, it's 41. And we are not in a situation like we was in September and early October, where the markets were oversold and we had a nice week. Still, this do not prevent market from going up. And if it goes up, it can move very fast upwards to 11,000 points. But from 11,000 and up, it will face huge amount of resistance. Sadly, the biggest possibility is further downfall, because, as I said, there is really no good support below. And given this situation, the stock market can fall very fast. I would not be surprised, as I told you before, if we see 3, 4, 5, 6, 7% fall on a single day. You just have to have that right mix. I will not be surprised if we see the opposite, that stock market, for instance, today on the Monday will go up 3%. I've seen this many times before. We are in a situation where the markets are very volatile. But trying to come to a conclusion for the week ahead of us, I will repeat something I feel I've been saying for so many weeks now. I really hope it will be a green week. But the chart tell me that we are heading for yet another red week. If to guess, I think that we are getting very close to a shorter bottom. It might be even that it will happen this week. I cannot say for sure, but we might get into a short upturn rally. And that rally may very well be upwards even to 12,000 points. The question is, when will it happen? I think that you will see a little telltale in the volume. You can follow the market volume to see if it suddenly starts to increase. But before that, it should be volatile, and it can even have a devastating fall all the way down to 9,500 for a week at Nasdaq. Coming to a conclusion, heading for the trading tips where you hear what kind of stocks I will try to trade for the week ahead of us. Sadly, I think we're heading for yet another red week, but with a fair chance for an upturn. And I think in general that we are getting very close to a better market. And to be honest, I am starting to build up my stock trading accounts. As you know, when markets were very high, I started to remove sell-out stocks. Got down to only some 30% in the market. Now I'm putting cash back in the trading accounts because I'm pretty sure it will be a super trading opportunity forward with good basis for making very nice profits. Because once the market finally decides it's time to go up, it should be a very nice, strong upturn. And I want to join that train when it happens. Until then, we will do like we always do. We will put on stop losses. We will be very restrained. We will not overdo until we see one bottom higher than the previous bottom and have the technical picture telling the same thing, that we are in an upturn market. We might lose some not being able to get into the exact bottom, but money is made by reducing losses and increasing gains. And one way to reduce losses is not to take as big chances. Anyway, we are heading for the trading tips, and you will hear what I think could be good bets for the week ahead of us. We are in the last 2 minutes of the podcast, and you will have this week's trading tips. But first, let's have a look at the last week's trading tips. How did they go? As you know, in week 34, we opened America, kept it open, one of the few tips ever to be given without a trailing stop loss. And we bought it back in week 34 at 26 cents. Said it was a penny trade, said that it was a high risk trade and it needed a good market to really fly off. America didn't do anything last week at all, a little up and down, ending the week at the same. America still stays open, currently at an astonishing 22% loss. The biggest loss we ever had in this portfolio, but as I told you, these stocks move very fast up and down. And when it decides to go up, which I believe because we had many successful trades in America before, it will be hard to join the train because it will swallow this 20% loss in just a second. But we will see. We are now at week 42, so we've been very patient about that trade. It was way too early. Chevron, however, we bought in week 33 at $141.25, and ever since it's just been going up. But last week it peaked up on the Thursday, then started to fall back and was cut by my stop loss at 161.03, giving 14% profit. Very happy about that. It's last time we traded Chevron was week 30 at 13.78% profit. And you may wonder, is it time to get back into Chevron? Well, I don't think that yet. I think that we might have a good opportunity in oil shares by the end of the week. So I would be a little patient. In general, I think it's a good idea to be in oil shares. But about Chevron, I'm not sure if I would buy Chevron today. I think I would wait for another fall. and get back into Chevron. But Chevron was sold at 161.03, giving 14% profit. So what about ConocoPhillips? I told you I would try to get into ConocoPhillips as low as I could on the Monday. I got in at 116.75. It was not the lowest, it was at 115 something, but happy about the price. And ConocoPhillips just continued up and was cut by stop loss as well. Was up at 122, 123 or something around there, and then started to fall and was cut by a trailing stop loss at 119.7, giving a profit of 2.53. And you have to remember, Dow Jones only was up 1% and Nasdaq fell 3% last week, so any profit is good. And I'm super happy about 2.5% profit. We'll take that any given day. Two stocks out, only one left in the portfolio, so America is open. I have the profits from last year's sold trades open, so what would I try invest to this week? I will gamble a little this week, simply because we've been doing so good in this trading series that I can afford it. And the two trading tips that I will try to gamble on this week is within very falling trend, especially the first one. I am betting on the stock being very oversold, with the idea that the market can have a few rebounds, and if they do, I think these stocks will go very up. I'm not aiming for the biggest profit. I hope to do some 5, maybe 7% profit. We will see. First out, NIO. NIO XP very, very oversold. Tesla is struggling for some different reasons. But I think that now these stocks are very attractive. And I'm also thinking of getting in for longer term positions. But for this week's trading tips, NIO. So I will go into NIO, try to get in as low as I can today. And just run it with the trailing stop loss, and hopefully I will be correct that it will do some 5%, 10%. And we will see. I might have to adjust. Normally I would put a 5% trailing stop loss, but I think that might be too much in this market. We will see. I will follow it closely. The other one is waste management, WM, waste management. It just looks very appealing to me. And both of them are somewhat green technology, you can say. And I think that emphasis on green technology still is there. And I think money slowly will find the way into that. So, 3 trading tips for the week ahead of us. Sumerica stays open. If you wonder, should I buy Sumerica? No, yes, I think Sumerica is a good buy. But it should only be a part of your high-risk portfolio. You should expect to stay long. They have a lot of cash in the bank, and they have, in my opinion, a somewhat okay product as well. And it could be one of these opportunities. But don't expect too much. Keep it as a high-risk stock. And at 22 cents, it's even better than when I bought it at 26 cents. NIO Waste Management will be the two other tips for this week. I will try to get in as low as I can today. I'm not sure exactly when. Usually it's half an hour to an hour after opening. Depends how the market will open. The market may open very strong, then fall by the end of the day. We will just have to watch and see. Usually I use volume to try to determine the very best entry point. So that was this week's very short podcast. As I told you, I'm in Turkey on vacation. Next week I will be back in Vilnius again. I will end this podcast just trying to show you some of the surroundings. I'm not sure exactly what you see. It's a little bit too dark to me. You can see the ocean in the background, and I am sitting on the balcony. Until next week, I hope you will have a very good week. I can just continue to give you the following advice. Meet friends, do a lot of other things, because there's more to life than stock trading. We will make money soon. There will be a buying opportunity out of another world, and we will be there, ready when it comes. Until then, we just have to be patient and play with money that we are able to lose or being stuck with for some time. We will not do gearing. We will not do anything that can put us at high risk. And doing that, having friends. We will be there when time is due, because it will be very soon the time you are waiting for, and an upturn in the market. Until next week, have a beautiful week, and we will speak. Bye.